we will cover mainly the transactional part of the consultant and individual contractors in the system. But if you have any additional points or comments, or please do not hesitate to intervene. So I see that, Brian, you have started the recording, so I can start this. We will see today how to hire a consultant, or at least how to create a shopping cart in the system for the consultant and individual contractors. We will go into the system and show you how to do that step by step. But before that, I would like to show you the overall process and the end-to-end process. Actually, this is a simpler process than what we have seen yesterday with the contract establishment. However, most or half of the process is taken by the HR partner. So some of the steps that we will do today will not be done by you in the normal life. So this is one point. The second point is there's a lot of steps that are also outside. So all the hiring process is done outside the system. So you know, the publishing of the job advertisement or the creation of the TORs and all that is done outside. You start in the system when you have decided on which consultant or contractors you would like to hire. So that is the difference for this specific system process. Sorry. So actually, as I said, there are different steps, and you would, as a requisitioner, start this by creating the shopping cart in the SRM portal, first of all. And actually, this is not really different from what we have seen before or the days before. There are tiny nuances that we will highlight during the demo, but otherwise it's very much similar to what we have seen so far. And also all the approval process and identification of the approvers are done automatically by the system. Once you have created your shopping cart and submitted it or ordered it, then it goes to the approvers who would have to check it, verify it, and then approve it and submit. From there, it goes to actually the HR partner. Once you have created your shopping cart, the HR will take over and verify, check everything, if it's good, if it's what you have agreed on, and then they will create the purchase order, sorry. So which is actually the contract. Again, the system will automatically approve the PO. Once you have the PO, from there, you go back and take over, and then you switch, and all this part, the different steps, creation of the shopping cart and the creation of the PO is done in the SRM. And from there, once you have your PO, you can go to the ECC portal and check and create, your service entry sheets. And actually, you would have to do that because there is no invoicing. The service entry sheet will be the way to monitor the service that has been provided. So you would have, since the service has been given to your department or your unit, you would have to create this service entry sheet and check there and enter if there is, for example, any absence days, etc., etc., because those details would be needed for payment afterwards. And once you have created your service entry sheet, you would submit it for approval. And this is the HR who approves it before payment, and it goes for payment. And actually today we will see in this process how you could create multiple service entry sheets. So for example, you would have different line items in your shopping cart. You don't need to create one by one, you know, or maybe you would have different consultants in your shopping cart. So you don't need to create different service entry sheets. You can create that once and then submit them all together. And we will see that in the system. I think this is the different steps. I will not go through that. I will share that with you just after the session. But you can. I have identified the different job aids that are linked to that, and you can find them in the PowerPoint as well. It is very nicely explained and in detailed, and actually I have also put there the service entry sheet, how to create one, and the multiple entries for CIC. I think I will stop sharing the PowerPoint, but I will go directly in the system. I don't know if I'm going too fast or too slow. Please do let me know. I don't know if you are all familiar with this, but I would prefer to go directly in the system and show you the different steps, because that would make much more sense for you guys. No, it's not this one. Here we go. So the first step, actually, as I said, all the hiring and all the identification of the consultant or the contractor, individual contractor, is done outside the system. But before even starting your shopping cart, you would need to see if your consultant or contractor has a BP number. So the first thing that you would do is to connect to ECC and check that. And actually, I will maybe show you while this is opening. I will show you the exercise that we have prepared for you, and there you would be able to see all the steps that I'm going to follow. And I will leave this open because I will go back and forth. In the exercise you would see here, and I will follow this specific scenario together with you. You will find there all the details needed for the exercise, like the name, the dates of the contracts, the funds, the budget period, etc., etc., and all the different details that those would be needed for the creation of your PO. Usually those, as I said, those data are entered by the HR partner, but however, for the sake of the exercise, you would need that. We are also putting there all the different reports that you can generate from ECC. And you will also receive a cover page with all the details and passwords and credentials to access ECC. So what I'm going to do now is going directly and check if my contractor is already registered and if it has a BP number or not, because this would be needed to be inserted in my shopping cart. If it is not there, then you would need to contact your HR partner and this is done offline, and for them to register him or to request for him to be registered. So let me where am I? Let me connect to the training environment on ECC and check if my contractor is there. Yes, Brian.
Okay, yes, Saida. I didn't want to interrupt while you were speaking, just to make sure if everyone is seeing Saida now logging into ECC, because it seemed like there was a bit of a delay between what you were showing and what we were seeing. Okay, so far I've been following it perfectly, but I did see someone, Kenneth mentioned that the PPT was still on screen while you were actually showing the exercise. So if everyone can now see Saida logging into ECC, that means we're okay. That's
Okay.
it, Saida. I just wanted to let you know.
Okay, so I will maybe slow down and make sure that the pictures match with the sound. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I hope you can all see my screen now, and I have connected to the ECC portal and used the training environment. Let me show you again, because maybe I went too fast. So I went to the training environment and I selected the T1E. My client was 520, and I used my my credential, and all this is shown in the exercise, and it is clearly said which environment to be used, etc. And so what I'm going to do now is use the T code MK03 for me to check if my contractors are registered. And the names of the contractors, and I think, why is it not? So I don't know where is my cover page now. Let me open it again. Here we go. So the names of the contractors are also given to you in the cover page. I hope you can see them. So you will have two different contractors. One, the first one is only hired for 1 month, and then the second one is hired for 1 month and a half. So we'd have to create 3 different line items. That's what we are asking you to do in the exercise, for you to be able to see the different types of project IDs, if it's monthly or if it's weekly. So we have breaking it down like this. So I will, for this demo, I will only use one contractor, and I will use the first one, and I will check if she's recorded in the system. So as I said, I'm using the MK03, and once you have the screen, you need to open it and either search by name. You can search by name by different. You have different fields there. So let me just. I think if I do that, I can. Here we go. So I can see that my contractor is registered there. So I can select, and oh yeah, of course. Sorry. So once you have selected, you need to see the different details that you you have there for this specific person, right? So let me. Yes. So here it is. You can see that you have the different information needed, etc. So the thing is here now, you would need to, what you would need for the creation of the shopping cart is the BP number. So this is the one that you would need to insert in your shopping cart when you are creating it. If the information, so as I said, if the information are not there, if the contractor or the consultant is not recorded there, you will need to contact your HR partner. So let me just write down the BP number. Okay. Once you have that, actually you can just leave, and I will go back to SRM. Where's my, so I go to Umoja non-production portal, and this is the same process that Sol has done yesterday. I hope there's not much delay between what I'm saying and what you're seeing. Hopefully you can follow me.
So far, it's exactly at the same time, Saida.
Oh, fantastic. Great. Thanks for confirming that. So as Sol said yesterday, do not worry if you see this weird page, because this is normal. You would go to favorite and select the T3J Umoja portal, and that's where you would have to insert your credential for requisitioner. Okay, so now you have the BP number of your consultant. You know that he's or she's registered there, and you can start creation of your shopping cart. And this is very similar to what we have seen yesterday. Sorry, maybe I went too fast. So requisitioning, creating document, you click on shopping cart, and then a pop-up will appear. I will maximize it. Hopefully you can see it. So the first thing that I would do is changing the name of my shopping cart, just in case something happened, I can always find it. I will call it like that. And you can also see that you have already the number of your shopping cart. So you can already start writing it down, because you would need it later in the process. So what you would need to do is to add item. And you would need to select internal goods or service. Once you have this pop up, you need to choose what kind of service, because this is a service that we are requiring. And actually, product type, that will help you filter and find the product ID easily. So you select product type service, and then in the description, you can, I'm hiring a contractor. So I'm writing down this, and I'm running my research. And there you will have all the different PIDs linked to that. And you can do that for the consultant as well. It's the very similar process, okay? Taking a bit of time. Normally, the system will display the different types of contracts or PIDs, and it will be, here you go. It will be divided by length, how long you would like to hire this specific contractor. So you have daily, monthly, you can even hire her per hour or per week. So what I'm going to do for the demo is I'm selecting a month, and I can even enter a note. And as Sol showed yesterday, here you would also need to enter the dates that you would use this specific service. And you can also, I think I will, then we can see the difference. I will use 2 months. So if it starts in June, actually you can leave it like that, or you can enter the end date. The system will not block you if you don't have the end date. It will only it will show you the 2 months, and it will calculate and all that based on the 2 months. But that is not a problem. But here, the contractor will start on the 1st of June and end on end of July. Here we go. And once you have that, it is answered in your line items there. And you can see that the system is already warning you about different elements that you need to enter. And we can see that later. But let me I will enter another item that would be easier, and then you can see also we can then later use for the service entry sheets. So let me, for example, say that this person will work for 2 months and 2 weeks. And then we can see that the difference. If you have several contractors doing the same thing, but you can also, let's say, so you can also duplicate your line item. So, for example, you have 2 contractors for June and July, then you can duplicate this line item easily. Once you have the line items, you will need to answer, as we can see there in the warnings, you need to insert certain details. So to do that, you select the line item needed, and you click on details. And there, the most important, the first thing that you will need to insert is the purchasing group. You need to select which purchasing group is in charge of this, and this will yes, okay. This will influence the rest of the process, right? You also need to insert the price. You see the quantity is, at this stage, the quantity, the number of months are still editable. So let me check if there's anything else that I need to, and you see the dates as well. editable at this stage. Let me check if I need to.
Saida?
Yes, Danny.
Hi, Saida. As you are looking for the fields and checking that everything's okay, just to highlight how important it is to select the purchasing group, as you mentioned before, because eventually, if you do want to evaluate and do proper reporting in BI, a good way to highlight and extract all POs and eventually information for ICNCs will be through the purchasing group related to HR, because in mostly 100% of the cases, all those items will be to that procurement group. And as you pointed out as well, these POs start with the number 25 eventually. So we'll see that afterwards. But just two hints. First, purchasing group always HR in order to look up for POs for ICNC. And then if you don't know exactly, or you have a list of POs, if you just filter by the ones starting with 25, then you can find your information on ICNCs as well. Over to you, Zaida.
Thank you, Danny. Thanks for highlighting this. That's very, very important. So yes, as Danny said, I selected the HR purchasing group here in New York, right? So for the item detail tab, this is all what you would have to insert. So the purchasing group, the price, you check again the quantity and the dates if needed, and then you continue with the account assignment, and the same process then what Sol did yesterday. You select the line item there, and then you click on details. And here, very important as well, you need to insert the cost center. And I think in my case, it's this. You need to select the fund, the budget period, and of course all this would be, it is very important because it would have a link directly with the budget and ECC and the fund commitment and all that. So you really need to be careful there with what you select. You can, I think that's it for the account assignment. You can insert notes and attachments. For example, here I'm thinking of the TOR for the consultant or the contractor, what they need to do, and things like that. All the different documents that you would need or has been done offline, you can always attach them there. You can also choose and edit the delivery address, but this is I will not do that. I think that's more or less okay. Another very important point is the source of supply and service agent, and here actually that is where you would need to enter the BP number that you have selected from ECC earlier, right? So here you can enter it. It's like, let me just yes, that's the one. Here you go. You see, the system recognizes it automatically just with the number. So the consultant or the contractor, sorry, is automatically linked, and all the data is put together with your shopping cart. I think that is more or less it for the first line item. And yes, another point is for the approval process, you don't have to add any approvers. The system automatically triggers the names or the people that is linked to your to the information that you have previously entered. This is a training environment, so it's like weird numbers and names, but normally you have like real names and real people there with the list who can approve that, right? So this is for the first line item, and actually you do the same for the second one. Let me just do that quickly before going and submitting and checking. First checking the shopping cart and then submitting it. So account assignment. So you can do actually, as I said before, if you have several consultant or contractors, you can do the first line, enter all the data that you need, and then you can duplicate them. And then you enter the different names of the consultant. I don't know if that makes sense. Instead of doing that one by one, you can do that first line and then you can duplicate your entries. I think that's here we go. So let me check if there's anything missing. And you see that on top of the shopping cart, the system is already telling me that there is no red warning or even yellow thing. So let me just first check again. My shopping cart before processing it. Okay, that I don't know what it is.
Saida?
Yes.
If you give me 2 minutes, I will fix it.
Perfect. Thank you, Sal.
You're welcome.
So it's just oh, great.
Don't worry, you can recap what you have been doing, and I will fix it right now. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Let me.
Exactly. And Saida, while you're working on this and Sol on the back end, there's quite a discussion in the chat as well. I didn't want to interrupt while you were still working on creating those VPs between Daniel, Sana, also Samuel is jumping in too. I'll start with Samuel because it's an easier question to answer first. Talking about the duplication of lines, right? It's something that we've talked about also when we raised the shopping cart for goods. So when you're talking about duplicating line items, right, in the shopping cart, Samuel is asking, does this mean we can have one shopping cart for multiple contracts, right? So we talked about this yesterday, I believe, as well with Sol. Can one shopping cart have be created, right, for multiple contracts? And we were saying that we could have different line items for different contracts. So in this particular case, we could also do that, but it's not exactly what you were talking about, right? You were talking about just simply duplicating information to not have to write it in every single time.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I meant, indeed.
Okay, but at the same time, and just like we did talk about it with Sol's presentation yesterday, we could raise one of those shopping carts, unfunded shopping carts, when we were doing the contracts session yesterday, and have several line items, and each one for a different contract. We talked about that yesterday and also agreed that this was possible. And now that was from that side. Okay, contractors, not contracts. Okay. Let's see. The other discussion is also we're talking about the BPs and the creation of the BPs. Jawad was also jumping in and mentioning that BPs for individual contractors should be a BP for individuals and not commercial BPs. Okay, just to making sure we clarify that. Thus, no need to be registered in UN. And to that, Daniel also jumped in. This is for everyone who's probably not been following the chat, that it's actually not called BPs, but GID, which is Global Index Number. Okay, and this is is done by the portal, and actually the team is in Valencia with us. Who does this, and they're devoted to creating those every 24 hours. And they process up to 1,200 requests. This is just FYI for people following us. And I think in that topic, we've covered all that. We go down to the next question, I think here from Hasim. And I'm just reading this as we go. So for individual contracts, outputs delivered lump sum, not regular payment like hourly, daily, monthly. How to enter price and quantity. Okay, I think this is probably related to the whole swapping issue that I knew would eventually come out. So in this case, the question is for individual contractors with payment based on outputs delivered, right? Not regular payment like hourly, daily, monthly. How is the price entered and the quantity entered? So say that I'm posing this question out there. If you want to take care of that one, fine. If not, we can discuss it amongst ourselves.
Yeah, can you please repeat, because I was trying to find back my shopping cart. Sorry.
So
apologize.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Sorry, just to tell you that now it should work. And apologies, our apologies, because it's the training environment as usual. Sometimes it's not working as we would like. But I think, Saida, you can already proceed.
Okay, let me just try to find back my my shopping cart, because I can't find it. Stay on this. Yeah. Sorry, Brian, you were saying something, and I.
Yes, but I think we can probably handle it from this side. If I'm understanding what Hasim is talking about, it's the swapping, right, of the quantity with the price, especially for services that we don't know the exact amount for. And this is also something we want to share some documentation with you guys in terms of the new process for swapping quantity. So basically, as a rule of thumb, if you do not know the exact quantity for the service provided, because again, it could be done hourly, monthly, or by person. Actually, let's say if you don't know the exact quantity, you can still swap the price for the quantity, and that's how it would be done, and that's how it's been done so far. But that is now only when you don't know the exact amount that is supposed to be paid for when you're raising this shopping cart. Okay, I hope that covers it. We're going to share some official information on that too, so we can follow up on this. And I'm moving down to Sana's question or comment here. And sorry, I haven't read it before, so I'm just reading it now live. We have a purchasing group for LVAs and shopping cart for goods and services in our 17 field offices. But for international IC&Cs, the purchasing group is UNOV HQ local consultants using, okay, IC&Cs are done using funds commitments. Okay, so I think we're basically discussing here how this same process is performed differently in different entities, depending on the exact scenario. So thanks, Sana, for just sharing that. I think you're basically just sharing a way of working and a way of creating and raising these shopping carts for a specific scenario. Besides that, I don't see anything else. Sorry, Daniel, I see you're also on there. Maybe I have missed something.
No, just to elaborate a little bit on what Sana mentioned in the chat, exactly what I think it's she. Sorry, Sana, if you were mentioning it, because at some point you would need to amend, right, some of the information in the document created in the portal, and because the purchasing group it's let's say based at headquarters levels with so many field offices around, it's one or two persons in HQ editing or changing that shopping cart, right? So eventually, if you did have some purchasing groups for IC&Cs broken down into the different field offices, then you will be able to do it more let's say, in a more flexible way, right? Not depending on one or two focal points in HQ amending all those documentation. So yeah, I mean, depending on the entity, the structure of the purchasing groups change. If you have a centralized purchasing group for all this, then if things have to be changed, that will be focused on one, two people. If you have it spread out by different countries, you will be able to do it much more flexible, I think. But thanks for your insights, Sana, on that. And then I will tell you how to filter on in the VA part by duty station or location, Sana, those ICNCs. Over to you, Saida.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Brian and Danny. Actually, I lost my shopping cart, so I just quickly did a new one because I couldn't find it. And instead of losing time in finding it, I just created a new one quickly, and I will before I'm entering the different data that I have already entered so far. Trying to do that quickly. And then we can process with the shopping cart and submit it for approval. And I think, yes, I hope I haven't missed anything. So I'm going through the different steps very quickly now, as I said, because those have been seen before. And I don't know what happened, but sometimes the training environment is not working properly. So that happens. Sorry about that. And I'm sure that the previous one is saved somewhere, but I didn't want to lose too much time. Here we go, I think, and then my purchasing group. I just want to check that I have the right one, otherwise, yes. Let me just check, double check again. Yes, I think I will. Yes, I think that's good. We are good to go. So I'm writing down my shopping cart number. And I click on order. Here we go. So you can see that the system is telling you if there's, once you check, it's telling you if there's any error. And when you want to submit or order the service, you also have, the system is telling you if it went in the right way or not. So you have a message here, but do not forget to write down your shopping cart number. Let me close this, and now actually let me go back to the process and see where we are. So we have created the shopping cart, we have submitted it, and we didn't, as I said, we did not have to insert any approver. It's automatically mapped. Now what I would need to do is login has an approver, a certifying officer, and check if my shopping cart is good to go for HR or not, and approve it. So let me log off and log in again as an approver. And normally, this is very much similar to what Sol did yesterday, right? So as an approver, you enter and you see that in the screen in the cockpit that you have all the different tasks that are pending. But sometimes the system, here we are. Sometimes the system is not fast enough. Sorry. So you need to refresh the screen, and And actually, this is my shopping cart, and I think I missed an information, very important information, but it's the price for the week that I just realized. So you see there, I haven't put the price, but when I redid the shopping cart, the second one, I forgot to put it there, to insert it there. But normally you should have done that previously. But I will not start it all over again. I think I will just process with this just for the sake of the demo. But please bear in mind that normally this should not be approved as it is. It just needs to be amended. Okay, I'm not going through the amendment process and all that for this demo, but I will just submit, and hopefully this will work. And actually, I see there, I don't know if some of you have the certifying officer role, but you can see an error occurred. Haha. I don't know what happens.
This is probably the training environment issue again, Saida.
Okay.
Let's just see if this is something common, and if Sol is taking a look at it, or just try it again, the same action you've performed.
Yeah.
Guys, yes, it is again the thing. Just let me. Are you still in the approval? Just let me.
I am.
So just let 1 minute. Try now, please.
Yes.
Just in case.
Yeah, it's working. Thank you, Sol. Your magic. Your magic. I don't know.
No, it's
you
not
have a problem, Sol is solving it.
No, just to share with you guys, with all the students, this is due to locks in the training environment, as we have a few, or couple of 3 training environments, and all UN is using them. So sometimes there are locks, and it's not, sometimes the impact is not so big, but during these demonstrations could be horrible. But I will be connected to this, and if anything, I will take care, Saira.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Sol.
You're welcome.
At this point, you have, as a requisitioner, you have created your shopping cart. Your certifying officer has approved it, and or not, based on the error that you have done or not. So actually the approver could say, no, this is not working, you forgot the price, for example, as I did in my shopping cart, I forgot the price for the week 2. So it can go back, and then you go back as a requisitioner, and then you amend it. You can always amend it, amend your shopping cart, right? I'm not, as I said, I'm not going to, it's always the same process. I'm not going to show that in the demo. I just want, because I would like to process with the PO, and also to show you the service entry sheet, how to do that. So I will not go to that. I don't know if there's any questions before starting the PO. I don't know if I start the PO now or if we break first, and then we see that later. What do you think, Brian?
Okay, sorry, Saida. I'm taking a look at the comment on the chat first.
Yes.
I think we should take the break definitely first before we continue. Perfect. Especially when everything breaking when everything is working is always a good idea, right? So let's leave it at that first. But let's take a look at the chat. I want to mention, for anyone who hasn't been following, I did post quite a big chunk on the chat about swapping. Even though it's more related to services, when we're talking about IC&C, since the quantities and prices are more concrete, we don't usually perform the swapping. I think the text that I've pasted there in the chat is actually quite self-explanatory, but let's take a look at what Vesna is mentioning. Same thing for Nipa Porn, and also for Sana. Sana first was talking about if you could explain a little more on the account assignment tab, the cost sharing between different funds. Is the system now enhanced to be able to cost share by percentage? Okay, so thanks,
Wow.
Sana, for that one. Yes, I'm not sure the system is enhanced to cost share by percentage. Maybe we can take note of that one and get to it later. Okay, so I'm gonna save that one for later and see maybe if
Okay.
can get the answer, and go to Vesna. I think that you used. She believes that you used the same date for both lines in the shopping cart you were raising. Just to confirm that if we should use the same starting date for additional week as for the months. I'm
No,
not sure if you did or not.
No, I
Sorry.
think no problem. Maybe in the second one that I did quickly. I mean, I think I did that too quickly. But normally, if you need to put the dates that that your contractor will work on, right? So the first line was for 2 months. So, and it started on 1st of June. So June and July are covered by the first line. And then you realize that you would need your consultant for 1 additional or 2 additional weeks. So then you create the second line, and then it should start on the 1st of August, right? Because the 2 first months are covered by the first line. So normally you should put the dates, the right dates, accurate ones for each line item. I don't know if I did that in the demo. Maybe I went too fast, but no. If the first is for 2 months, ends in end of July, and then the 2 additional weeks, it should start on the 1st of August. I hope that answers your question. I know that I went very quickly in the second one, just to not lose time, but I might have missed a few steps, but that is how it should be done in real life scenario.
Okay, thanks, Saida, and I think it's quite clear. And let's just take quickly care of the question from Giayi, and sorry if I'm not pronouncing it well. Are we expected, and this is mostly out to the whole training team and Sol as well, so are we expecting to encounter the same issues that you've encountered, right, performing your exercise when, well, it could be, and that's why we haven't shared with you the exercises yet, okay, because we want to make sure these things don't happen to you while you're practicing them. And you see they are happening to us. So we're delaying the sharing of cover pages and exercises because of this, right? We want to make sure that you will encounter no issues. And if you do, we know exactly which ones they are, okay? So you can move forward and practice without any of those issues. Okay, so just to get that question out of the way. The other one, in addition to Sana's question, this is from Nipa Porn, how is the approval workflow? Okay, so we're going back to the approval workflow. Is the shopping cart routed to the approvers based on cost centers we put in? So this goes back to a similar question like we had yesterday, right? If it's the purchasing group or the fund centers that route the approvers. Do you want to take care of that, Saida?
No, please go ahead.
Okay. So in this particular case, when we're talking about routing for approvers of shopping carts, I remember that yesterday we were also discussing this with purchasing group for the POs, and then for the shopping carts, we were talking about the cost centers. So unless I'm wrong on this one, and maybe Sol and Daniel can jump in to correct me, but for the shopping cart, we're talking about the cost center will route for the shopping cart approver, and the purchasing group for the later on approval PO. So unless I'm mistaken there, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. And then Suleima is making a very interesting comment here on the percentages. If we use percentage, the system will not allow us to perform the service entry sheet or to complete the service entry sheet. So maybe the percentage is not the correct way forward in the system. So I'm going to keep that one on that note as well. Suleima, thank you for this. So I guess this is something that is definitely 100% accurate. So percentages, the use of percentages, and we're going back to the top comment here from Sana about splitting, right? If I can find it, sorry, because there's a lot of going on in the chat. And I think, it goes back to the comment here from Sana where we're talking about the percentages in the account assignment. Okay, so it seems, as Suleima is saying, that if we do use the percentages, we're not going to be able to perform the service entry sheet later on. Now, if we want to discuss this a bit more, we can, if I'm not making too much sense there, but thank you, Suleima. And Sana, okay, we can raise shopping carts with dates going between 2 years duration, November 2020 to March 2021, and then have service entry receipts inspected and expenditure recording as per IPSAS? Or do we need to do 2 shopping carts, 1 for each year? Okay, very good. So another business question here in terms of the when we can raise the shopping carts, or what's the correct procedure. So Sana, I'm going to take note of that one too, in order to provide you an accurate answer. Okay, so I'm taking note on this question. I don't think any of us can provide you with an answer right now. And if we can, please jump in on when you can and if you can raise the shopping carts the way that you are mentioning. Okay,
very good
besides
question.
that, yeah, that's it.
But maybe, Brian, thank you very much. So what we can maybe mention as well is that all the questions that are asked during the week, we're gathering them, and we are trying to answer them during the training session, of course, but then we will collect them and put that together in a document. And for those pending questions, we will find an answer and come back to you. So, and we will all share the questions. So it can be a frequently asked question document that we will share at the end of the process. So just to mention that to everybody. Shall we break for 5 minutes and then come back at 11:05? Are you all
yes,
good?
Saida,
Yeah?
I think that's
Yeah?
the best option right now.
There is no other comments or question or points that you would like to highlight, Brian, right?
Nothing right now. I mean, there's the new comment now in the chat, but I think we can handle that after the break. Okay,
Perfect.
let's take 5 minutes, and Georgios, I'll get back to you. Okay, in 5 minutes.
Perfect. So see you in 5 minutes then. Okay, we're back. It's 11:05.
Hi, Saida.
Yes.
We're definitely back. Okay, it's been a busy break. Again, we have a very enthusiastic attendees, which is very good, and the chat has been busy even during the break. There's mainly three topics of discussion that are ongoing in the chat, and they're very interesting. I wish I had a proper answer for each one of these cases. It's true that once we start diving into business cases, in particular cases for a political mission versus a peacekeeping mission, versus this is what we do here and this is what you do there, it's difficult to find a concrete answer, right? But I think that the things that we can probably put a closure on now that we're back is the fund center, right? Routing to the shopping cart approver and not the purchasing group. And also something that was mentioned by Sana or added by Sana is that, of course, if we have more than one line in a shopping cart and these lines are linked to different fund centers, those will of course will be routed to different approvers, right? That happens with shopping cart for goods, and when we're talking about contracts, the same thing as for individual contracts as well. Okay, so that's for the question or the comment on the fund centers and the purchasing groups and who does that route to in terms of approval. Then we still have the comment here on the splitting of account assignment, okay, if we want to share the cost. Now, as far as I understand, I think the system allows you to do it. I think actually some of you do it, but it is interesting to know, based on some of the comments from Suleima, that if we do share the cost, we cannot process the service entry sheet. So there may be a way to do this at a later stage. I'm not sure if someone is out there that has done this or does this regularly and wants to explain to us the process of how to do this. Okay, what I'm understanding here is that, of course, you're splitting the cost with a different, entity, right? You're splitting the cost of the shopping cart, but at some point you're going to have to do it either in the shopping cart or at a later stage with the service entry sheet to make sure that it all works well together. So maybe that one is definitely going to be hanging. We'll take note of that in our Q&A and see if we can provide a concrete answer on that, or if any one of you wants to jump in, and this is out to the attendees, to jump in and give us an answer on that one, because I am personally not 100% sure. And then also we were talking about the shopping cart with dates, right? With the different dates, like one for 2020, one for 2021, right? And how would that affect the service entry sheet in terms of inspection and expenditure as per Ipsos? Or does it need to be split into different years, right? One shopping cart for each year. And again, I believe, if I'm not mistaken here, Celestina actually wrote a very good comment here in the chat. But again, this is also personal, right? What we do when we want to split funding, we create different lines, each portion for a portion of the whole period. We want to hire for 1 month, we create one line for 2 weeks, changing the budget. So again, this is a very specific case, and this is from Celestina's side of the way they do things. So I don't think there's a specific way to do it for everyone, and how this affects the service entry sheet. This is another question that I'm going to take note of, and maybe we can provide an official answer on that, if there's actually an official answer that it works for everyone across the board. Okay, so the splitting of the cost in the account assignment and raising shopping carts with different dates, meaning different years, we'll keep those on the side. All right, Saida, that's mainly what I can say at this point. I see Marta is also adding her 2 cents. In our office, we do process shopping carts with cost center split with line without issues, and service entry sheets can be processed as long as you stay within the same budget type. Okay, so again, we can see that it is possible and it is done in certain offices, but of course there are criteria to keep in mind, like for example, keeping the same budget type. Okay, so we'll leave those there. Thanks for the comments. We're taking note of those as well. And Saida, please continue.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Brian, and thanks everybody for the comments and and for your active participation during the sessions. It's really really nice. So where we stopped before the break at this point where the certifying officer has approved the shopping cart, and there are different ways of how to do that, etc. We are actually showing the easiest, or I wouldn't say the normal way, but it's not very complicated case. The demo that I'm doing at the moment is not entering different cost centers, etc. These are more specific cases that we can always take offline if you have any questions and things like that. So at this point, I have you as a requisitioner, you need to contact your HR officer and tell, okay, this is what I've done. I created the shopping cart, has been validated. I don't know if there is a notification process in the production server, but yeah, that is where we are. So now the thing is that the shopping cart has been created, approved, the HR officer take over, and he or she will create the purchase order, right? So I'm here in SRM, logged in as an HR officer. And this is a part I will try to do quickly. It very much looks like what Sol did yesterday for the contract establishment and creation of fix. So the steps are quite similar, but at this point here, we will create a purchase order. So we will go, the HR officer will log in and click on purchasing and then go to carry out sourcing. And I will maximize this. And here I will enter my newly created shopping cart and run a search. And from the shopping cart, I will extract. And you see the different line items created. And thank you very much, Sol, for having changed the second line item and having added the price and all that. Thank you very much for doing that. So you have the two different line items and you have to select them all. This is the same cost center, same purchasing group, etc. So you can create the PO for the at once, actually. So you will select them and then click on next. Again, you select, and then as Sol did yesterday, you click on create draft, and you see there you have 3 different options. And I think even yesterday you had another one with contracts, right? But today we only have those 2. As an HR officer, you can create those 3. So you click on purchase order. And what you would have to enter, and you will have that in the exercise, by the way, the different steps and what are the different information that you will need to insert. The transaction type here selected is this one, ZHRS. And once you have that, you click on edit, select a draft. And there, that's where you would have to answer the different details that are mentioned. Where is my exercise? Okay. Remember that I gave you, I showed you when I started the exercise, the financial rules and all the different information, and actually that's where here at this, I hope you can see my screen and I'm not going too fast, but this is clearly described in the exercise there. So you would have to answer the different data, such as the financial rule, the immunization data, and the purpose of the engagement. Okay, before being able to process, and those information needs to be entered at the header level. So financial rules, if I'm not mistaken, that's the one that we ask you to select. And you see that those are mandatory fields, right? So you cannot skip them, otherwise you would not be able to create your PO. And for this specific case, it's HR. And I think I'm good to go. I will check. Yes, and before submitting or ordering it, you can also preview the PO. Let me open it in Adobe. And as you can see there, the system will generate automatically the contract, actually, with all the data that you have insert in your shopping cart and in the PO. So you have all the data here, how long this will last and how much, and also all the different rules for the consultant and contractors. Okay, so now I think I'm good to go and I can process. Here we go. And here the PO does not need, I mean, this is not something that you do in your current job, but for the sake of the exercise, there is no approval. The system will automatically approve it. As you can see here, there's waiting for approval, but if you refresh, here you go, you have it already. Okay, so I think that's it for the SRM part. Yes, I've heard. Brian, is there any question or something?
Yes, Saida, sorry. Yeah, Grace is adding a question to the chat about can one put a smart no description for ease of identification? Now, if you don't understand that question, the way it is stated there, me neither. Just Grace, if you could be a little more specific there, or maybe Saida, if you understand what she's referring to.
No.
In terms of the description, a smart no description for ease of identification. Okay, and the smart number tab. All right, yes, so talking about the smart number. Thanks, Grace, and Maria Jose also.
The smart number, I don't know exactly. Oh, here. Right?
Okay, I was reading smart no description instead of smart number description. Okay, sorry.
Oh, here.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is editable, right? I didn't change anything, but I guess you can edit that. As I said, this process, the PO creation for consultant, is not done by the requisitioner, so I'm not fully aware of how the HR office is working, but I think, let me see if I can.
That should allow it, even if maybe before the sending for approval, it was available.
Yeah, indeed. So it should be. I haven't. I've never done it. I mean, never done that for this specific exercise. But I guess it is. And I can even see that.
There you go. I'm just reading the chat. It seems what you do there, that checkbox, smart number is external,
here you go.
Allows you to edit it. There you go.
Yes.
Thanks, Daniel, Maria Jose.
Yeah.
And Grace, I hope that helps with the question. And sorry for not understanding it.
No, there are so many different fields and so many different details that sometimes it's very, I mean, at least for me, it's very difficult to be able to answer everything and to know everything, and especially if this part is not part of your business. Actually, this might be a little bit more tricky. So, where are we? Yes, we have. Let me cancel. Let me note down the purchase number, because this will be needed for the creation of your service entry sheet. So at this point, I mean, normally this entire process takes weeks, days or weeks. And then once you have your consultant delivering the service, there it's after that you actually do the service entry sheet, and it's recommended to do that quite quickly after the service is done. There is no invoice, as I said, for the consultant and contractors, and then the service entry sheet will be the way for you to monitor the service delivered, right? So I will close this. Yes. And okay. And actually for the rest of the demo, I will close. So most of the first part was done in SRM, right? Let me log off. Now we'll switch to ECC and continue with the process, because the service entry sheet is done and created in ECC. So once you're logged in, you go to the training environment and you log in as a requisitioner. And you can actually check and run several reports to see if your PO is there and how it looks like, etc., etc. So let me maybe show you how you can see and how the PO is displayed in ECC. So let me run this specific D code here. Oh, right. Okay. Remember, our fund center is 10 UNA. The budget cleared is B21. And I will not put any date there. I think it's better. So you can see if your fund has been committed, and you have the the period there, and you can run it for the entire year, but I will only focus on maybe May, just May, to see the commitment I have just done, the PO that I have just done now. I don't need this. And I think, let's see what the system will pull out from what I have entered now. And hopefully, normally, since the PO has been approved and all that, I can see it in the system in ECC, right? Okay, sometimes it takes a bit of time. Okay. So once we have that, let me check what we will do next. So yeah, as I said, the next step, once you will have that, you would need to create the service entry sheet. And we will see, oh, here you are. You see the different shopping carts and that have been created during that very specific period of time, and I think that's my, yes. That is the one that I have created today, and you can see the different amounts and that we put in the shopping cart, right, per month, etc.
Saida?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, if I may. This is a very important T-code document journal, and well, Sol knows much better than myself. He's an expert on funds management, but it's important to understand and to read all the different lines in the different documents, because every time that you create, in this case, a shopping cart, which in this T-code is called purchase requisition, right? It's a purchase requisition with this reference document number starting with 1. You have an amount type, right? It's the fourth column there. The amount type might be 100 when you create the document, in this case, 200 when you change the document, and another amount types depending on what you are doing on in this case, the shopping cart. But it's applicable for an LVA, for a PO, and it's a way to track how the budget has been impacted when you created the documents in the portal. Okay, so very important, because at the end of the day, what we're doing over here, we are earmarking funds from our mission or the entity. The way to earmark funds, at the end of the day, it's a way to detract money from some other operations, let's say, and eventually the earmarking has to be converted into an invoice and then a payment to the vendor, right? If it is not done, the whole cycle, for whatever reason, is not paid, for whatever reason, the PO or the shopping cart is not eventually converted into the following on document, we are earmarking funds for nothing, right? And so a way for the mission, for the entity to track down all those earmarkings, it's to understand and to use this T-code, especially from the funds management perspective, but I think from the requisitioner perspective as well, to see whether there is a document that it's pending action in order to be approved for a shopping cart to be approved to a PO and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, at the end of the fiscal year or the budget period, the auditors and the internal managers will really take a close look at all these pending documents who have not been, let's say, converted into expenditure per se. So the more type of earmarking that we have is not converted to expenditure, the worst, because the KPIs eventually, from the budget perspective, will tell us that we are not very efficient, right? managing our budget. So as I said, this T code, it's important to read. We'll go through the LVA as well, and we'll show you how it works. But it's not difficult. Don't be overwhelmed with so many lines. Eventually, it's just a matter to track down the documents created in the portal, and that eventually are earmarking funds from our budget. Okay. Sorry if I extended too long, but I think it's important
fantastic.
to...
No, fantastic. Thank you very much. That brings more insight that what I was just saying. Thank you very much for your input, Danny.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay, good. So yeah, this is, as Danny said, very important steps for you to check and track your budget, etc., and your funds. So that was just for you to show how what we've done in the portal is reflected into ECC. So let me get out and actually go to the last step of this process, which is the creation of the service entry sheet. And I will use this specific code, ZSA create SES. Oh, damn it. Sorry. And there you can enter directly your purchase order number, PO number, or you can even look for different ones. And what I would like to show to you today is to create a service entry sheet, a multiple service entry sheet with different lines, and maybe use different POs and see how this works, right? So what I would do is I will use the PO that I created today, but also maybe something that I've created yesterday, and see if this works. Oh yeah, of course. Here we go. And actually, as you can see, I have there the PO created yesterday, which I have not done anything yet. And I would like to create a service entry sheet at once. Instead of, one by one, I would like to create something quickly. And you can do that for several POs and several lines. So you see the one that I have created just today, it's mentioned there as well and listed, and nothing has been, you see, last service entry sheet, nothing. So I would like to create a service entry sheet for both of them, and actually I can do that. So you, in the screen here, you have some editable fields and some that you cannot edit or touch. So let's, and it's quite clear from the beginning. The one that are editable are those in white, and you see that I can enter. So what you would need to do is to enter the service period for each PO. So in my case, that was the 1st of June. And I think, and you should have that information service valid period. You have that either here or in your contract, or you know it, so you can enter that. And actually, this should be accurate. The dates that have been really performed, right? So let's put that. I don't know if that makes sense. And I think it's more or less the same for both. So I am might not be very precise here, but normally you should really pay attention to the dates that you're entering and the data that you're entering. What I'm trying to show now is more how the system reacts to the different data that I'm answering. You also have there the possibility to mention the days of absence. So if your consultant for a reason or another has been absent during few days, that's where you would mention that. Okay. For example, if there is no absence day, then you just leave it blank, or you put 0. Sorry. The SES note is actually more for the partner, the HR partner, where you can enter whatever. Okay. And they will see it. Let's see if there's any other fields. Yeah, the posting date. I will put the today date. I'm doing that today, so I think. And I think that's it. And the only is maybe to specify and describe what was all this about. Okay. So once you have that, let me check if I've missed anything. So it's 2 different POs with different lines, and let's see how the system will react. And I will ask him to process, to generate the service entry sheet for both at the same time. As you can see here in the status, it's still in yellow, so it has not been processed. So let's see how this will react. You can select the different lines. You click on control to be able to select multiple lines. Okay. And for example, if you do not want to process one of them, you just have to unselect them. Okay. Once you are happy, I mean you're happy with what you have entered, and everything is done, you just click on Create Service Entry Sheet button on the top here. Let's see if I've done things correctly and if this will work. The system is telling me that the second one went through, but not the first one. Let's see why. I should have a message at the end. Okay, so the date, the service period date that I have entered was not correct. So I need to check that. But you see that the second PO went through, and I have a service entry sheet number now, which I will write down. Is there any question on this, Brian?
Yes, Saida, I was just waiting for you to finish here. The only other question so far relates to the T codes that you've been using, I believe, for the service entry sheet. And also, I think when Daniel intervened, he mentioned the T code. I'm not exactly sure if he just repeated the ones you were going to use, but Javiera is inquiring on those.
Okay, so I used, to create my service entry sheet, I used this one, and I will share that in the chat.
I'm doing it right now, actually.
Fantastic.
If you keep them on screen, I'll type it in the chat.
Fantastic, yes.
Okay.
So to create the service entry sheet, multiple ones is this one, ZSA underscore create underscore SES. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Thanks,
And
Aida. So
this
yeah,
one,
thank you.
You're very welcome. This one is actually in my exercise, but another place where you can find them, and I will share the PowerPoints just after my session. It's in the, I think it's open, yes. Yes. So I shared the different job aids that I found for this session. So you have them there. So, and it is very nicely explained step by step with print screen and all that, how to process. And I will share this link with you just now after the session. So so that's it. So my first, and I will not process with that. I just wanted to show you how actually you can manage and create service entry sheets for different POs. I did not enter properly the period, service period date, but you need to double check that each time. So make sure that it is accurate and correct, and otherwise your service entry sheet is not going through. So I have my service entry sheet for the PO that I just created. So I will process with that. And let me check in the exercise, what are the next steps? Yes, so actually as a requisitioner, this is it. You've done the job, and you're just waiting for the HR to approve it, to approve what you have just done now. Let me show you also something very interesting. Once you have created the service entry sheet, you can actually use the tool, and I don't know, maybe you guys, you can tell me if this works in the production server. You can actually notify your HR officer that a service entry sheet has been created for the PO. How to do that? Let me. Yes. Let me do that again. So you're still on your screen with the service entry sheet just created, right? On the top here, you have this button where you can click on it, and then you have drop-down list there. You go to send object with notes, and this will notify your HR that the service entry sheet has been created. Okay, so you have, it's like an email that you send through the system, and you can enter and then you can even enter the service entry sheet number, that you just created. And I don't know, actually, I would be very curious to see if this works, but at least in the training environment, it works. And then you select the the HR officer. In my case, it's so I guess the names there are listed. So let's see if he finds it. Yes, you see. So you can as an email you can do write your message, select the recipient, even make put any attachments if needed, and then you can notify it and send it, and this will be sent automatically. Message was sent. That's it. I will maybe, just to close the process, once the HR receives the notification, you can log in to ECC and approve the service entry sheet. And I will maybe quickly, since I see that we still have time, I can do that. It's not part of your daily work, I guess, but I think it's nice to see how everything is closed and comes together at the end. So let me, I don't know if there's any question while I'm logging in, Brian.
I say that I believe that there was a hand raised, which has just disappeared from my screen. Okay. Just 1 second. I believe someone raised their hand. If you can just unmute yourself and speak up, and who is the attendee list has just disappeared from the screen. Okay, it was Claude actually, just appeared again. So Claude, if you would like to speak up.
I just want to mention that at the same place where she said that you can send a notification to the HR officer concerning the notification that the SES was created, there's also a way she can also upload the attendance sheet.
Yes, in the attachment, right?
Yeah, you can also attach the attendance sheet and put it also there in the document. That's the only thing I wanted to say. Thank
you very much, Claude. That's that's very, very important, because then it will be kind of proof of what you have entered in terms of absence and things like that. So yeah, you can definitely attach the different reference document there to the HR to actually check at the end and make sure that he validates it in the proper way. So thanks for your input, Claude.
You're welcome.
So I logged in as a HR officer, and I will use the T code ML81N to actually check my service entry sheet and validate it. And you see there you have the last screen that I opened and some steps that I have done before, or the HR has done before, but you need to no, sorry, it's not what I wanted to do. So we logged in and we need to find the proper PO related to your request, right? So let me find this. You can either search by entry sheet or you can search by PO. And let's see if this will work. That's the one that I just created. Here we are. That's the one that I just created, right? As an HR officer, you are able to edit this and check if everything goes well and if it's all in line with what you have agreed, you can check what you as a requisitioner had added there in terms of absence, in terms of information afterward, and as Claude said, I guess you would also have the attendance sheet received by email, by notification. So you can, they check it, they validate it, and once they're all good with it, they accept. And as you can see, the system will accept it automatically, and I don't think there is any other step to do after that. That's the last one to be done. And yeah, I think that's it. That's it from my side.
All right, thanks, Saida. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, I also just realized now everything suddenly just popped up on the chat. The last message I saw was from Javier at 11:30, and now I see that there's quite a long list of comments made. Sorry about that. It wasn't there on my screen. So Daniel already had shared the commitment item T code, which is the one that Javier was referring to, and then there was also a brief discussion on the certifying, who approves, right, the service entry sheets, if it was the certifying officer and not HRMS. And again, the discussion just went on for a little bit here about the approval, and basically it's always delegated to the certifying officer, but also based on whoever's in charge of the unit who has received the services of the consultant. Daniel is adding here. I don't think there's anything else. Sorry if my team's account is acting up a bit here, but that's as far as I can see. I don't know if Daniel or Sol, you can see anything else.
No. Well, Giuseppe, it's asking whether there is a way to run reports on pending service entry sheets. I don't want to, I have it in the top of my head, but I just want to double check in documentation that we have internally, and we will get back to you, because I don't want to there are so many codes and typo. I don't want to, put a typo in the chat, so I will make sure that I give you the proper T code for the reports on pending service entry sheets, Giuseppe. That's the last one, and then Javiera, it's sharing that the same thing in ECLAC, service entry sheets for procurement services and HR go for certifying officers approvers. The certifying officer role in the mission and in the NUN entities is of utmost importance. These people will eventually certify the funds, but because at the end of the day, everything comes down to the money, right? To money, budget, and the good certification of service entry sheets or the certification of shopping carts eventually are deducting from our budget and are closely monitored by the auditor. So it's important that whoever has the role of certifying officer knows well how the impacts are occurring down the road, right? Especially in finance. So I do have a quite interesting documentation in a workshop that we delivered for certifying officers. So in case you are interested, I will double check and will share with you information. Not for the moment. We don't want to overwhelm you with so many presentations, but at least get 2-3 slides that will define the terms of reference of the certifying officer, especially for the service entry sheet process, which we think it's important. But besides that, nothing else on the chat. I think, let me see. Yes, Sana, she's pleased that where we can share things, and yes, I will get back to Giuseppe on the report. Over to you, Brian.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Danny. I don't know, Brian, if there's anything you want to add before we. Actually, I had prepared a few questions, a pre-review and then a post-review, but I will do that now. if there's nothing else that we can we need to add to that.
Okay, Saida, nothing else. Again, my last comment on the chat is Daniel's at 11:48. So I'm definitely having issues on Teams.
Yes.
So I don't see anything else from here. If there's nothing else, I think it's the perfect moment to share the polling questions that you had ready.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I had prepared that for with a start to start with, and then I wanted to see the comparison before and after, and I forgot. I was too excited to start sharing with you the demo, and I see that Danny has not yet. Okay, cool. Thanks, Danny.
So sorry, I thought you were going to finish, but I deleted the survey.
Yeah,
Sorry for
maybe.
that, Saida.
Yeah, no problem.
You
No
tell me.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe first, I don't want to confuse them. So if first, please go through the quick quiz that I have prepared. It's 5 questions, very easy, and hopefully, let me know if it works, guys, for you. If the link works, I post that in the chat.
Yes, it works, Saida.
Perfect. So I give you 2-3 minutes, and then we come back with the answers.
Thank you, Saida. So again, just a reminder, please take some time to complete the polling questions. There's already one response. So good thing. And then I'm sure Daniel will also share the survey for the morning session. So take some time to provide feedback on that as well. And basically, as it's been working for the past few days, we'll go for a break now at 12, come back at 2. And also we'll share the recordings as well as the materials right away in the chat as well as in the channel. If from my point, nothing else to say. Again, I'll see if I can work on the issues I'm having with the chat for this afternoon, but nothing else from my side.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Brian. I think we'll come back to that and start with this before I hand it over to Danny for the afternoon session. But the quiz has been set. Normally, you will be able to see the answers, and hopefully that works. It's the first time that I'm using this one, so that's it. Thank you very much. Thanks to all. Thanks for your comments and participation. And we see you all later at 2. Thanks, Brian. No? I stopped sharing my screen now.
Yeah, Saida, it works.
Yes.
The results, what you mentioned.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah,
that's cool.
You can get the results right away.
Yeah, that's cool. Perfect. I stopped sharing my screen now, and Brian, you can stop the recording. I think at this point.
All right, thank you, Saida.